Hello, party people. I think we're live.
Yes, we're live on both Instagram and Facebook.
Well, welcome. When you join us, I would love to hear from you, hear what your name is, and where you're joining us from. And I'll try to keep saying that as the video keeps rolling. But this is going to be a really fun discussion. I really want it to be a dialogue between us and just get conversation started. So Greg is going to let me know as people join.
Yep, there's definitely some people joining.
And I just said, I don't know if you heard me, but as you join, let us know what your name is and where you're joining us from, and a little tidbit about you.
Mom made teacher joined and said hello.
Hello. Welcome. Thanks for joining.
So can I maybe start with a couple questions?
I would love that. Sure.
Okay. Well, my first question is for you.
Okay.
And it's about how you're feeling today and how you've been feeling.
Okay.
It seems like over the past couple weeks, you've been doing a lot better and not having as many migraines. And I'm just kind of wondering, when you think about it, what do you think are some of the main reasons why you're feeling a lot stronger as of late?
So I just want to introduce myself. I haven't done that yet. So for any of you who don't know me, I'm Sarah. I am the co-founder and CEO of Om Lifestyle. And our primary goal is to provide support, holistic support specifically for migraines and for everyone battling and supporting a loved one battling migraines.
So, by the way, Mom made teacher. Her name is Michelle from Ohio. She's a mom of 5.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. I bet you have a lot going on with 5 little ones. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be here with you. So we're just going to be talking about my favorite things, your favorite things of ways of coping with migraines and preventing them and hopefully eradicating them. So Greg's question to me was, over the past few weeks, I've had a little bit of a decrease in my migraine frequency. And his question to me is why he thinks I'm feeling a little bit better. I think one of the main reasons is the weather has been kind of stable, somewhat stable. The weather in Atlanta, Georgia is a little bit crazy here, especially during the winter when it gets cold and then warm and then cold again. And that fluctuation in temperature as well as pressure really sets off my migraines, as well as I know a lot of people have that same struggle. So I think that has helped a little bit. I also think that I've recently started cutting out more dairy, and I think that has helped a little bit with helping me lately.
And the migraines, and I think your stomach as well has been feeling a lot better. It's kind of interesting. We've cut out so many different things from our diet. We didn't think dairy would be one that would have much of an impact, but it turns out that it did.
Each time I say I don't think something has an effect on me, turns out it does.
By the way, we've got some people here.
Yay!
So Nicole, 18 from Ireland.
Hi, Nicole.
She's a school student.
Incredible.
And then we've got Diane from Lecanto, Florida.
Nice.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but...
Sounds like you got some warm weather down there, which is awesome. This is our little kitty joining us. This is Christofferson. She likes to hang out.
So
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everyone. So cutting out dairy, you really think is having a big impact, and we haven't cut it out entirely, but like before, if we were putting half and half in our coffee, now we're just putting like a splash of half and half and some cashew or almond milk.
Yeah. So this makes me wonder, for those of you who are here with us, what are your favorite methods of migraine prevention? Favorite being kind of a loose word here. What are the things that you've found that work best in migraine prevention? I think that's a really tricky one because prevention is very much about getting into kind of a lifestyle with that specific technique. Because usually with migraine prevention, it takes a little while for you to notice the results. One of the biggest things for me, which we talked about last week, is food. Diet is a huge one, and not only just what I eat, but when I eat it. So getting on a routine of eating breakfast somewhat around the same time, and lunch and dinner, trying to get my body kind of into a rhythm.
So a couple comments here.
Awesome.
One says the rain can be a trigger for her and high pollen.
Yeah.
Another woman mentions that she's gluten-free, but it doesn't cut out all of her migraines completely. Mm-hmm. And then Mom Aid teacher, the Mama 5, is saying, do you still have caffeine in your diet? So that was actually a topic that we were planning on discussing today. So Sarah, what are your thoughts and how do you approach caffeine?
So I just have to give a disclaimer that I am not a doctor or neurologist. But so I'm speaking from personal experience and what I have learned from reading and researching. It seems that caffeine is kind of one of those tricky ones because for some people it helps alleviate migraines, for some people it triggers them, and I think for some people it can do both, which is kind of a difficult line. So I haven't eliminated caffeine. I've definitely cut down. I have about 1 to 2 cups in the morning and then try to keep it at that, and maybe have a cup of green tea if I'm wanting a little something in the afternoon. But I have noticed that if I cut out caffeine completely, it does give me headaches, so that makes me a little nervous and thinking that might be my next step in my migraine prevention, which is just another one of the many things to eliminate. The things that I have eliminated so far are all grains. So going back to our friend who said you've eliminated gluten, but it hasn't eliminated all of your migraines. I have eliminated all grains completely, so not just the ones containing gluten, but all grains, specifically because a lot of grains promote inflammation in many people because of the carbohydrate content, as well as just the properties of the grains, and how many people's bodies react to them.
Inflammation, right?
Yes, inflammation. I don't know if that's what I said, but
yeah.
Yes. So Greg and I are on the ketogenic diet, and for anybody who hasn't heard of the ketogenic diet, basically what it does is makes your body convert fats for your energy rather than carbohydrates. Your brain and your body starts producing these ketones, which help your body metabolize fats for energy. And those are produced in your body naturally when you switch over from having a carb-rich diet to very carb-deficient diet, and more fats. So it's not to say that more vegetables and fats for your energy.
And it also helps you maintain a very steady and consistent blood glucose level, right? And
Yes.
spikes in blood glucose is a very common migraine trigger. So that is the other benefit, right?
Yes.
To being on the ketogenic diet.
Yes. So it gives you a nice, steady, even energy flow, rather than when you eat something high in refined sugars or refined carbohydrates, which then turn into sugar very quickly in your bloodstream. It gives you this burst of insulin because your body's trying to metabolize the sugar very quickly, and then that is a migraine trigger. It can be. And then also the drop that you get afterwards, after the sugar is quickly metabolized, and then you have that crash. And so the crash can also be a trigger. So eliminating that by giving your body kind of this slow burning fuel can help reduce the yeah.
So a couple comments here. Chrissy.
Hi, Chrissy.
From the UK. She has cut down on dairy and gluten, and she cut out tea.
Wow.
And this has cut her migraines down from 6 a week to 3. So that's awesome.
Wow, that's amazing. And my question is the tea that you cut out mostly like caffeinated tea, like black tea, or is it just all tea? Because that's what we're talking about. We were just talking about with caffeine. So if eliminating the caffeine part has helped, that is really amazing, and definitely encouragement and motivation.
And then there's another person on here, Epileptic Shawl. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that second part correctly, but
thanks for joining.
they've cut down caffeine to only 1 time a week. So
wow.
Congrats to you for making that effort.
Yes. Kudos.
And then we've got another comment from Diane. She's beginning to see a correlation between her colon and her migraines. She suffers from IBS, but what she's saying is she's noticed that when her gut is healthy, her migraines are better.
I have noticed that as well. That's a huge reason why I cut out the, I haven't completely cut out the dairy, but really trying to minimize it, which is, I don't know if that's really a good way to look at it, but I've also started including probiotics in my daily routine, which has really helped with my gut health. And I've noticed a correlation between taking probiotics for my gut health and my migraine. So that's actually probably going back to your question in the first place, Greg, like what's been helping. My supplements, I think, are helping, and I've just recently added the probiotics, which I believe have really helped.
Nice.
So I'm right with you, Diane, and that has helped a lot. And so has eliminating caffeine been helping you when you limited it to once a week? I can't remember the username. You said
once a week is Epileptic SHAWOL.
Shawl? Shawl?
Yeah, and then another question here from Sophia is just when you talk about migraines, does this include aura migraines?
So I do not experience aura with my migraines. I've experienced different kinds of like visual disturbances, I would say, but I don't know if I could completely categorize them as aura because of the timing. So anyway, no, I can't say from experience about migraines with aura. For me, my migraines don't, but they include like tight tension and nausea, like upset stomach, teariness, obviously pain.
Throughout your body, really.
Yeah, throughout my body. And each migraine for me is different, and I think that's very common that migraines vary not only from person to person, but from migraine to migraine in each person, just depending on what triggers it, and the different factors.
So a couple comments here. I'm going to combine 2 comments into one. We can kind of address them together. Okay. So comment from Jake Barker.
Hey, Jake.
He says, carbs, yuck. And then Epileptic Shawo says, curious about the ketogenic diet. So maybe just for people joining, just a very brief summary of the ketogenic diet, which has really helped you in getting a lot stronger and healthier, prevent migraines.
I am going to say that the ketogenic diet is not for everybody, but I think that it is helpful for a lot of people. And it's been helpful, very transformative for me. It's actually recommended for people with seizures because of the way that it helps reduce inflammation and the way your brain is able to metabolize fats for fuel. So just given your username, it might be a good option for you. So the premise of the ketogenic diet is really eliminating processed foods, carbohydrates, so no grains, starchy vegetables, kind of choosing green vegetables over like potatoes, choosing like small amounts of sweet potato if you want to go with potato rather than like white potato. So choosing things that are just low in carbohydrates, which also includes fruit. So if we ever do eat fruit, we try to limit it to berries and like small amounts of berries. It also eliminates even farm-raised fish and unpastured pork because of the high omega-6 fatty acids in those foods.
So for fish, do you want to go with like
you
wild?
Go with wild fish.
Wild fish, okay.
And that kind of reduces that amount of fat, omega-6s, as well as pork. It also, what else does it eliminate? It eliminates sugar. That's along with the carbs.
So what do you do, Sarah, like when you want to make something a little bit sweet, you don't use sugar, so what do you do?
So instead of using sugar, sometimes I'll add just a little bit of raw honey, and not much. That's also carbs, so I try not to use much. But I also have found that I really like erythritol, or a brand name is Swerve sweetener. It is all natural, so it's kind of like stevia, but it doesn't have a strong aftertaste like stevia does to me. And it also doesn't give me tummy trouble like some different like sugar alcohols do. Like if you've ever heard of xylitol or maltitol, those, if you eat too much of them, then it can upset your stomach. But I haven't found that to be true of erythritol. And many people have also said the same thing. And so I like to use that as a little sugar substitute.
So I want to address a comment from LMN806. So she mentioned that going low carb, along with what you're saying, and working out.
Yes.
She's working out daily, but the combination of those has really helped her. So maybe we can move in the direction of exercise, because you, of course, would agree that exercise has helped you prevent migraines as well.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because exercise has helped me so much. So this is another balancing act, kind of like what we were talking about with caffeine and everything. I think a lot of what migraines, like preventing migraines is a balancing act. So that goes for exercise routine as well. If for most people, or many people, extreme exercise and extreme cardio can actually trigger migraines. So, but there have been studies done. I know one specific research study studied people with migraines who did a cardio exercise for 30 minutes 3 times a week, and it was as effective as the other group who was taking the leading preventative Topamax. So both of those were comparable. Those weren't actually in the same study, but the results were comparable, the same level of significance. So exercising for 30 minutes 3 times a week is shown to be as effective as taking Topamax as a preventative, which is really incredible. So finding that good balance of cardio is a really good option. For me, I love incorporating incorporating yoga as my cardio and also restorative practice.
Stress relief.
Yeah, I like.
Stress is such a big migraine trigger, right?
It is.
Yoga really relieves some of that.
It does, and it helps with what is the word I'm looking for? It helps develop a practice, kind of a meditative practice, which is also helpful for migraines. And like I talked about in our first Facebook Live talk, breathing and yoga and a lot of different things can actually help stimulate the vagus nerve, which goes throughout, it kind of wanders throughout your body, and your vagus nerve starts at your brainstem and communicates between your organs and your brain. And so by activating that vagus nerve and the communication between your brain and the rest of your body through your sympathetic nervous system. Sorry, I'm getting them confused. It helps reduce inflammation, as well as it helps calm your nervous system, so that it can be a level of prevention, if that makes sense. So,
a couple other questions here. Getting back to supplements.
Yes.
So, what are all the supplements that you take? And then Diane G15 mentions that probiotics, and she does a veggie-based stool softener as well.
Awesome.
And she's drinking lots of water.
Yes, water is one of the things that I am always trying to drink more of.
There's your bottle of water right there.
It is right here. Speaking of which, I should probably just take a sip. But supplements that I take are, like I said, the probiotics. And not all probiotics are created equal, so I would definitely look into just kind of comparing different probiotics and just research it for yourself. And also, I take a B vitamin complex. I have found that to be extremely helpful for me. It gives me more energy, so I feel kind of sluggish a lot of the time in the afternoon, and the B vitamins have helped a lot with that. Taking magnesium as a supplement is really difficult it's really hard on my stomach. If I take it, a lot of the time it just goes right through. So it doesn't really absorb and do anything.
But you can take a magnesium bath.
I do take Epsom salt baths, which there's kind of research that goes both ways on if how much like magnesium really gets absorbed through your skin with baths, but the like therapeutic dose is 2 cups of Epsom salt in a bath for 20 minutes, at least 3 times a week, and that seems to help me in kind of preventing my migraines. And it also seems to help with if I do take like a magnesium drink, rather than a supplement, sometimes I'm able to absorb that a little more easily. And another magnesium option, because magnesium has been shown to be really helpful, is magnesium lotions and creams. So I am looking into getting one for our upcoming box. So I'm really excited about that. Stay tuned, and we'll try to get that for you guys.
So I guess one thing that I'd like to bring up is just the fact that you do it sounds like you do a lot of things, but a year ago, you were getting migraines most days of the week.
Yes.
You were getting easily over 15 a month. And at that point, we really didn't know what direction to go. And over the course of the past year, it's been a process, but you just kind of have to chip away little by little. And I guess the reason I'm bringing this up is because for people that may feel hopeless like we did at one point, they can get through it. They just have to believe in themselves and remember that, for one, there's people that want to help them, certainly the OM community, and there's a lot of information out on the web. And if you just really start chipping away at things little by little, and also it's an experiment as well. I mean, not everybody's body is different.
Exactly.
And so you just have to try little things and really pay attention and listen to your body.
And I think along with that, like Greg was saying, it's kind of an experiment because everybody's bodies are different. There are definitely commonalities, and that's part of why we're doing this live series, is because there's so much we can share with each other by sharing our knowledge and the research that we have done and the experimenting that I've done, that it's so much more helpful when we bring our brains together, and that way you're not looking and searching through the web, which is also a migraine trigger for me. Staring at a screen all day makes me feel sick. So, and it's definitely a migraine trigger. So I would love to keep you guys from having to do that, and that's why I want to work as hard as I can to keep learning and keep us finding more options.
Yeah.
It really is a practice. Holistic care, I truly believe, is something that is just like an ongoing practice. Something that is ongoing. So for a diet, it really took me months of doing the diet to really start feeling the full effects.
I would say it was at least 2 to 3 full months before you really started seeing
the full benefits. I started noticing little things before that, but it definitely was harder up front than it was after a few months. So I also want to say that this brings me into self-care and self-love. Because when you're experiencing so many migraines and in the position of needing to give yourself extra care, that's the most important time to have places of support as well as limits set for yourself. So my question is, where do you find that support for yourself? Where have you been able to find that? And it might not even just be in people, it might be in other things. And also, what are some of the limits that you set for yourself that help you in managing this disease? For me, I found a lot of support in my partner, Greg. So I'm very blessed to have him in my life. It's someone who knows this disease and knows what support looks like. And he's had to learn as well. It's been an ongoing thing. So that's why we're very passionate about not just supporting the person with the migraines, but also supporting the people who support the people with the migraines. But also, a lot of that support does have to come from within, which is one of the most difficult things about living with migraines. Is sometimes when you're the sickest, you can't find that support from within, because I know when I was at my sickest, I couldn't do a lot for myself because I was so sick. So finding those things, for me, yoga was a big one, doing yin yoga specifically, until I was strong enough to start doing more of the active practices. Finding little things like taking Epsom salt baths.
Baths.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about baths that we learned is that they actually help a lot of people with stress relief and to ease some of the pain of their migraine. We surveyed, at this point it's a couple hundred people around the world, primarily women, that battle migraines, and the vast majority that answered the question regarding baths found that it helps reduce tension and some of the migraine pain. So baths are always a really good idea, it seems.
It definitely depends on your body. Some people have said that baths don't work for them. I think it also depends on how your body responds to heat and temperature changes. Some people love ice on the back of your neck or in certain places around your head. And I found that the best place for me to apply ice is at my brainstem, right at the back of my neck. When I apply it to other places, it actually gives me more of a headache than relieves my pain. But I know for other people, it's the complete opposite, and it's very helpful. Another thing that's been helpful for me is actually one of our products is called Zen Nectar, and it has menthol and camphor, and it's warming and cooling. So it has bergamot as well, which is an essential oil that helps reduce anxiety, and it's an analgesic, so it helps with pain relieving it has pain relieving properties as well.
So continuing with that topic, there's a question from Diane G, 15. What are your thoughts on alternative medicine, i.e. oils, medical marijuana, acupuncture, etc.? She's asking because she's developed a tolerance to Imitrex and Maxalt.
So I think that branching out into other forms of medicine is a wonderful alternative, because like you said, developing a tolerance is a real thing. It happens very frequently, as well as getting rebound headaches from those abortive medications. And so I think acupuncture is a really wonderful one. I know that many people have found success with it. I know a lot of people have found success with daith piercings. I have one in my right ear. For me, it wasn't as successful, but I think it was mainly because I didn't research the technician who I was going to get it from. I think that's a great place to start if you're looking into getting a daith piercing. I would look into a technician who is familiar with doing this piercing for migraines, and do a little research on the piercing for yourself so that you go into it knowing kind of what to expect. I think that's what seems to be the most equation for the most success. Mm-hmm. So that's another alternative that I know people have told me has worked.
And then you use essential oils like when you do yoga.
I do. I think lavender, peppermint, eucalyptus sometimes, bergamot to me.
By the way, Mikkel is on.
Hey, Mikkel! Thanks for joining us. We're talking about essential oils right now. So definitely, I think peppermint is the main one that I use. Peppermint and lavender, and those seem to be very calming. I know that there are also other essential oils that help if hormones are one of your migraine triggers. There are essential oils that have been shown to help balance hormone levels
Really,
with regular use. So,
really great question here. Have you tried cupping therapy?
I have not, and I would like to.
And also, what are your thoughts on Botox?
So, my thoughts on Botox are that it is helpful for many people. Botox was actually one of the reasons why I started looking into holistic migraine treatments, because when I was having my migraines over 15 a month and almost every day, my neurologist suggested Botox, and I thought that was too invasive for me personally. Thought there were other things that maybe I could look into doing before I took that step. But if you're in the place where you need something to help get you a little bit regulated so that you are able to start doing those more holistic things that are preventative rather than just treating, the migraine or the pain. So I think that, like we were talking about, it's a balance, because if you only do Botox and the more conventional medications, then your body can become tolerant, for one, as well as your Botox is a toxin. So you're injecting a toxin into your body, and even though side effects can be rare, who knows if you could be that person who experiences those side effects. So it's really a personal choice, obviously. Me saying that, yeah, it's a personal choice, but I would always recommend looking into alternative treatments over the more conventional medication.
Yeah, I just remember when the doctor recommended it to you, there was a booklet at the front desk that we took home, and it had some information about Botox, and I kind of feel like it was part of the fine print for one of the advertisements, where we were reading through what the results of the clinical study were for people taking Botox for migraine, and it just did not seem very appealing. It didn't seem like the clinical results were very convincing, and that really drove a large part of our decision. It just seemed like the clinical results were not very strong.
If I remember correctly, the difference between the group receiving placebo versus the group receiving Botox was like 1 or 2 migraines a month difference. So like the placebo group was having 9 headaches, and the Botox group was having 8, or something very. It seemed like a minimal difference to me between the Botox and the placebo group.
Plus, there are risks involved with Botox. But again, Sarah, I think your point is a very good one, that if you need, if you are experiencing over 15 migraines a month and you need something to get you to a place where you have the energy to explore more holistic approaches, then it's a personal decision, and you make it with your doctor and your family and loved ones and so forth.
Exactly. Because if you're so sick that doing alternative treatments isn't actually an available option, then it's not going to help you not to do Botox.
So Sarah, I know you love your essential oils. Another question here, just what are your thoughts on frankincense?
I love frankincense, actually. It's a very strong smell, so if smells set off your migraines or trigger your migraines, that one, you might want to test it. But I think frankincense is one of the essential oils that's kind of like a cure-all. It does like so many things, and if I remember correctly, that's another one that helps with hormone regulation. So it's I think it's wonderful, and I like to put that in my baths a lot.
Okay. Another one, did we mention this? Calcium, magnesium?
So calcium is supposed to help with the absorption of magnesium. And I haven't started taking those in together, which I should, because obviously I have trouble absorbing magnesium. So, but yes, the two of those together, and I think that it's magnesium glycinate that is the best one for being absorbed.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, do you know of any brands of like magnesium baths that?
So honestly, I just get the so it's just Epsom salts, because that's magnesium sulfate, and I just get the ones from Costco that you can get 2 big bags of it for about $7 or $8. You can get Epsom salts pretty much like Target, Walmart, Amazon. I know there's one on Amazon that looks really great. It's like 20 pounds for $30, which is like, it will last you a while. And it has great reviews, comes from California, I think. So I can post that on our website if you would like, as a resource. If getting to the store is a little bit more difficult for you, that way it can just be delivered right to your door. You don't even have to leave your house to get it.
So our website is
omofficial.com.
We actually just posted some new stuff today. You posted some new yoga videos.
We did. If you're interested in checking out some yoga videos for migraines as prevention or during a migraine, we have them broken up into 2 categories of prevention and care during a migraine. And that's under the Mind tab of our website at omofficial.com.
Yeah, so the yoga sessions that you recommend for during a migraine, of course, are very relaxing and meditative and not hard on the body, not strenuous at all, of course. So
yeah,
you don't need to be worried about that.
Yeah, and as always with anything, especially with yoga, since it has to do with, it's very physically involved, listen to your body. Know your limits, and listen to just where you are today, because that where you are today could be different from where you were yesterday and where you are tomorrow. It just depends. I know my body's always in a different place, no matter what I do.
So just one more comment here I think worth addressing. This gets back to food, but Diane hits on a couple food categories that definitely are probably good to avoid.
Yes.
And she's mentioning beer, wine, and then aged cheese.
Yes.
So that's actually very common.
Yes.
Aged cheese is a very common migraine trigger.
There's a pretty long list of food-related migraine triggers. And I've tried my best to eliminate as many as possible. So like you said, wine, beer, aged cheese, chocolate, nitrates and nitrites like in lunch meat and preserved meats, smoked meats. What else? Citrus, onion, raw onions.
Citrus is one that I think a lot of people may not know about, but yeah, so oranges.
Yes.
You want to be very careful with your citrus intake.
Mm-hmm. I think vinegars for some people can be a migraine trigger. Like I was saying, raw garlic, raw onions.
Sometimes a lot of nuts.
A lot of nuts.
You want to
So that's another balancing act for me with this ketogenic diet, because instead of grain flours, I use a lot of nut flours or coconut flour. So it's definitely a balance between choosing to limit that and not go overboard. I also find that like hemp milk it's really, first of all, easy to make, because you don't have to soak hemp seeds. You can just actually, I think it's 1 part hemp seeds to 3 parts water, and you just blend it up and make hemp milk, and then strain it, because you don't want all that graininess. But
so Callie Raminger's on the.
Hey, Callie.
So I think we should wrap this up because I need to get back to work, unfortunately. But let's end on something a little bit fun.
Okay.
And what I'm thinking is, since a lot of this was about food as a migraine preventative,
Okay.
what are your thoughts on, for people that want to explore a ketogenic diet, what are some like fun, maybe desserts or just meals that they could try making? And maybe we can even post them to our website or blog after this.
Okay.
But maybe just some thoughts on like what people can do for dessert.
Well, I think a good place to look is our Pinterest boards. We have I pin a lot of keto-friendly desserts. I like to make a lot of like muffins with coconut flour and almond flour. And I also use erythritol as the sweetener for that, like I talked about earlier. It's a low glycemic index and low carb sweetener, all natural. It's good for you. So that's what I would say. But before we wrap up, I think this is even more fun of something to mention.
Go for it.
We just came out with the survey. So if you're interested in taking the survey, put your email in the comments below. But the survey is about the next OM adventure. We are looking into doing an OM wellness retreat. So we wanted to get your thoughts on if you're interested in doing an OM wellness retreat, what you would like to see if we did one of those, like hot springs, massage, Reiki, which is a healing technique. We explain it a little bit more through the survey. Like where, how long. So
what are some of the locations you're considering for the wellness retreat?
Well, we are considering Colorado, California, Asheville, North Carolina, and someone wrote in Florida. So we're looking at different places. I think right now, to give you a little sneak peek, Asheville is winning so far in our votes. But it's nothing's final yet because we're still exploring our options. But your opinion matters, because obviously a retreat wouldn't be anything without you. So we just want to know your thoughts. It's very important to us, and we're really excited about the possibility of this new adventure.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Food included, accommodations included,
Exactly.
Everything organic, yoga, massage, potentially acupuncture. So
Yeah, we want it to be completely holistic and a real getaway. Something where you can recharge and
learn, right?
Learn.
Exactly.
We one of the things I really would like to address and was suggested is how to cope with migraines caused by allergies and sinus congestion. I would also like to address ways of naturally regulating hormones because of that as a migraine trigger. That's a huge one for me personally, and I think that is a common one for many people. So I think that would be a wonderful thing to address. Obviously, yoga. We'll have lots of yoga, and hopefully massage. I think there's just a lot of things we could do with it. A lot of ways we could go.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. It's going to be really chill, and we're going to learn a lot.
And Diane says that she listened to this all the way home from work, and it was awesome. So thanks for the
Thank you so much for joining us, Diane.
Yep.
And for having this conversation with us. We're also, I think you asked about medical marijuana, medical cannabis, and that was a question on our survey, if you'd be interested in learning more about it for migraines. So if you'd like to let us know your thoughts, then we'd love to hear them. Because I know that a lot of people have found relief with medical cannabis. So, because that's actually one of our questions that we ask in another one of our surveys. So, we're excited and open to ways of opening up more healing and hope into our life. So, I hope you'll join us. And thank you so much for joining me and Greg.
Thanks, everyone.
On our live talk today.
This was fun. Till next time.
See you next time.
Bye.